Hello.
Hello, good evening, Dr. Dukes.
Good evening. Thank you guys. Who all is on?
Evening, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
And Michelle.
Hello.
Michelle.
Hello.
Who else do we have on?
Hi, this is Karen Dixon.
Hey, Sister Dixon. Who else?
This is Sheba Simpson.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Welcome.
Donna Gill.
Hello, Donna. Welcome. Have anyone else? We have 5 members on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Dukes, we can hear you.
Okay. I have 5 members. I have 6. Anyone else?
Be quiet.
Yeah,
Hello.
I'm from NYC Smoke Free, so I'm on the call as well.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Booker received a call from Mr. Mitchell, our district manager, saying that we had received a call from a group, NYC Smoke Free, and they wanted to present. They had another meeting tonight. And so it's fine with me. We can, I understand their own. Your name, please?
Yeah, my name is Ayo.
Okay, and
Ayo,
his
Ayo.
own. We will give him an opportunity. We just received a call today. We don't usually give people the same day they call a chance for the meeting, but we will, and we don't have any material from you.
Also, the material was sent in advance, but you know what I could easily do because we have such a short time, and I appreciate you.
Well, that's okay. Why don't we let you make your presentation, and then you can follow up with getting the material to us.
Perfect. We can totally do that. You just let me know if I can go ahead.
Oh, sure. We're ready now.
Okay.
Well, first, I'm sorry. Let the members of the committee introduce themselves. I'm Hazel Dukes, Chair of CB10 Health and Human Service Committee.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Ms. Dukes.
Good evening, Michelle Booker, Vice Chair of Health and Human Services. Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Good evening, Karen Dixon, member of the Health and Human Services Committee.
Nice to meet you, Ms. Dixon.
Good evening, Donna Gill, member of the Health and Human Services Committee.
Pleasure to meet you, Donna.
Good evening, Deborah Yates, member of the Health and Human Services.
Pleasure to meet you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you much. Now you can proceed with your presentation.
Okay, awesome. So I spoke to my counterpart and I had a meeting with Shatik earlier today, Shatik, which was really good. And he thought that it might be cool to share this with you. So I don't know if everyone is familiar with the fact that what has come to light with COVID-19 is the level of health disparities that is affecting people of color, but more specifically and especially Black people in this community and in the country in general. And can everyone still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure what happened. It looked like I was, okay. But a central part of this is how tobacco companies have targeted the Black community for a long term with their products, specifically menthol cigarettes. It's one of the reasons why Newports are very, very popular in the Black community. It's not by accident. It's through a systematic, consistent, decade-long of intentional marketing, sponsoring commercials, giving coupons, sponsoring different organizations, just really, really pushing the product. And what it has contributed to doing is that the level of use of smoking among African Americans in America, and then specifically the use of menthol cigarettes, has been very, very dangerous and detrimental. And there's a film, a very, very short film. It's about 10 to 15 minutes long. It's called Black Lives, Black Lungs. And it really, really talks about this. And so what we were thinking is, especially now in light of COVID-19, even if there was no COVID-19, this would still be important, but especially in light of COVID-19, our respiratory health is even more important. If you smoke or if you're susceptible to smoking, you are putting your respiratory health at risk. And a lot of the times people will pick up smoking, they pick it up at a younger age, not because they wanted to, but because they intentionally marketed to us. So what this film really does, is a very, very short film, is it brings this to light. So what we've been doing for the past year and a half is working with different organizations and the community boards and to get this information out. And the idea was that we could collaborate and have a talk back with you all. So we would encourage everyone to watch the short film, 10 to 15 minutes long. I'm going to go ahead and send it to you all so you could watch it. But what we would want to do is we can invite community members and do a sort of a Zoom talk back where we talk about the film, we talk about the health disparities that focuses on menthol cigarettes, menthol flavor, and we also can talk about vaping, because that is also something big now that is really affecting the health of many people in our community, but especially young people. And it's not by accident. It's once again the tobacco companies back at it. Now, I want to say something before I yield the mic. During the Obama administration, flavors for regular cigarettes were all banned except menthol. They were successful in being able to ban every flavor except menthol. And the reason largely had to do with a lot of lobbying to keep it by tobacco companies so that they could keep a lot of their African American demographic that uses the product. So it's also another problem is like, why was it that all the other flavors that most communities use were banned, but the ones that our community uses the most wasn't, which continues to put us at a health risk. So I'll let you all check out this film. It's really life changing. It's something everyone should see. But I think collaborating and doing a talk back on it and using it as the gateway to all the issues that are affecting us in terms of health disparities when it comes to tobacco use and vaping, we think it could really be beneficial. We've done this with other organizations. Like we did it with some churches in Harlem, but I think CB10 is just, we really feel great about CB10. Everybody I've dealt with is so effective. They're so community oriented. They're so community driven. And so it feels like we're behind the fact that we've not even done this with you all yet. We want to move now because there's a lot of conversations happening about social justice. Honestly, it should already have been happening. We all know how we feel about it, but there's a momentum and there's an openness right now to conversations surrounding health disparities. So we want to move fast so we can take advantage of that momentum and the fact that people have time that open, because we feel like they'll be more receptive to information like this that really does affect their lives in the community.
Well, thank you very much. We are glad that you came to us. We've been on this issue. We have a resolution that this committee, Human Service, submitted, and it was debated with public interest at a meeting of the public. And so we did not get it passed. I hear what you're saying. I've been on this for the last 2 years. That's the reason I was quite concerned when I got the call today about you wanted to come to us. We've been on this project for 2 years. I brought it before, and we have Dr. Smith, who's a member of this group, and Miss Dixon and Donna Gill, Michelle Booker. They all put a great time and emphasis on this. And so we presented it twice and it didn't go. We are well aware of what the industry has done. I wear another hat as president of the NAACP, and we could not get the governor of the state of New York to go with menthol cigarettes. He did the E. We understand that let me just say the NAACP in 10 years took a resolution, we don't take any tobacco money. Reverend Butts, I have demonstrated to take signs down in Harlem with women from Cool cigarettes and all of that. So we know all the problems, but we have a process that we have to go through. That is, we recommend to our executive committee, and then we go to our public at our meetings and present. And there is a lot of persons still think their rights are being taken away from them by telling them when to smoke and when not to. So thank you. And I've seen the film. So thank you for your presentation, and we will continue to discuss the issue among and see what education. I believe during my absence that there was presented that we would have maybe a health forum to further educate our community and especially our young people about this cause of death. You're right, we've had more people to die from lung cancer as well as from this virus in our community. So we understand it very well, but we have a process. So thank you, and we will be in touch, and at the appropriate time, maybe we can show the film. I've seen the film on several occasions.
Oh, I'm glad you have. And that's the thing. It's really one of those things where, first of all, thank you for your consideration, and we'll send you additional information so you can, go through the proper channels. But I think one thing that we found to be effective with these talkbacks is, the film leaves you to just watch and come to your own conclusion, and the talkback is just another way to raise awareness and have conversations and get people's questions answered. But it's not like a resolution or anything of those things that usually requires a little bit more. So this is like a collaborative event we think can just welcome people and not feel judgmental. We can even direct it especially towards young people because they are the demographic that we're concerned about everyone else, but young people especially because 95% of those who smoke start before the age of 18. So this is more centered around people before they even start, young people especially. So it's my hope that like you definitely consider doing a Zoom or social media like virtual talk back like this, because it's just a very good way to welcome people to come and learn more and not feel like it's anything political or they have to make a decision. It's just an event. But hopefully you can talk about it internally and feel interested. But we just wanted to reach out so quick because of the momentum, because everybody right now is very triggered and primed. And you know how it is. When people are open, the best thing is to do is to enter before they close again, But thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Dr. Dukes?
Maybe she fell off.
Yeah, she's listed as muted.
Okay, she has to unmute.
Sorry, this is Cheryl. I'm
Text
just,
her, let her know to unmute.
Yes, do you
unmuted.
hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hello.
Okay, I would have told him what we have done and he wouldn't have to come. He's preaching to the choir when he preached to us. But anyway, Dr.
Sorry,
Smith.
did you say something? Because I was before getting off, I didn't know if you were saying something to me.
No, I'm talking to Dr. Smith now.
Okay,
I have, thank you for being on. I'm going to my committee meeting now.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you all later.
Thank you, okay. Yes, Dr. Smith.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just saying I was running late. Sorry about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have never heard of this group. This is New York City. They behind the 8 ball, and I guess with all the bad publicity, they're trying to catch up on things, but we've been there on this. And I think before, yes.
Hi, my apologies for interrupting. When I spoke to the director today, it is the Public Health Solutions, which is a nonprofit. And one of their thrusts is New York City Smoke Free. They do receive funding from the state, and that's how they have been functioning. Of course, like you have said, they did come to us now, but they have been, working on this over for the past decade. And so I think they originally ran into Charles Johnson, according to Shatik, what he had told me. And so, they just wanted to introduce themselves and see if we are able to.
Well, if they've been receiving money from the state, because it was the state, it was the governor. I testified. I was in Albany 4 times on the bill, and the governor wouldn't go with menthol. So, I mean, I don't know where he's been.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was here. And we heard from him, and we know what we are doing. And I think one of the things that you said when you was doing the resolution, that maybe we would have, and this was before we were shut down, that we was talking about an education after we had such pushback from from some board member, former board member. She attacked me. That we were going to put bodegas out of business, and all this craziness. So we did talk about we could have a maybe an education forum, and we got Deborah on our committee, who is chair of the education committee. Maybe we can find a way that this Zoom thing, people about zoomed out now. People are zoomed out because I'm zoomed out, you know, and I think it's just too much, and you're not going to get what we want from a Zoom if we're talking about a younger group of people. You're not, when I said young, I mean the millennium age group and that kind of thing. We know the data. We know when children start smoking, young people start. So I think we can keep this on the books, but I don't think we ought to try to do a Zoom with this.
You know, one thing, Dr. Dukes, like listening to all the feedback, was this can be another just extension of I can't breathe.
Right.
So there is, you know, of course, there's been the, you know, this constant traumatic police brutality, but in another way, we have a corporation that has robbed so many of us of our breath. And, you know, maybe if we frame it in a certain way, we may be able to attract the population that we want to target to, you know, to listen in. So I would just like to keep the conversation open regarding an educational component.
Yes, no, that's what I was doing. But
I think that
I am not going to be pushing for a Zoom for it.
Hi, this is Deborah. I'm Michelle. I understand what you're saying, but how is it that, and you and I, of course, can continue this conversation offline. How to do something like that without it sounding preachy, because these kids who are smoking cigarettes, and I believe there are less kids smoking cigarettes these days. They're smoking marijuana. They've heard all of this stuff before. So about why you shouldn't smoke, and then you don't think about stuff like that. So it would have to be presented in a way that it didn't sound preachy, and it would have to be presented in a way that the information sounds new. And of course, I agree with you, Michelle. We can continue to talk about it, but I also agree with Hazel. I'm about zoomed out too.
Can I come in as well? I mean,
sure.
I know Michelle, John, and I worked on the resolution. I wasn't there for the significant pushback I understood that we got, because
you got off.
Right. I was away, unfortunately, but you know, I was pushing Michelle and John probably further than they were originally comfortable with in terms of some of the things we had in the resolution. And even I was a little bit surprised at how much push back we received at the general board meeting. Can I say, I agree with us not trying to do this as a Zoom forum of any sort, but I think we should try looking at doing it differently. And yes, it may be that we try to do it in a different educational model, and it's not Zoom. It may be even like something I'm working with for the state. We're actually using a comic book series to get some of our messages out around COVID and some other messaging. So maybe we can have a conversation, Michelle and Deborah, offline about maybe other options we could possibly use in educating
absolutely, absolutely. But I don't want to spend this meeting.
Yes.
And I want to tell Shatik again.
Okay.
Nobody calls the day and I let them come. You know, this meeting is really for us to get to the meat of what we are talking about. What you all work you have done on this. If we had not done anything, I would understand this, but we did something. And not only did we get pushback at that meeting when I made the first announcement about it, I got pushback from members of the board.
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, this is not urgent right now. We can plan this out. Keep it on the board, but I am,
Yeah.
my recommendation is no Zoom on this.
I agree.
Okay, all right. So our issue tonight is, how do we go, because Shatik sent to me something last week that the nursing home honored Keith Wright with some kind of ceremony. I didn't see it. He found it, I think on online or something. He sent it to me and I asked him to send it to you guys. These people know they're in trouble because they lied. That their lawyer, the night when Dr. Smith kept pushing on him, you know, he was sending everything back to the state. The state have its own problem here, but they are worse because of their lie and what they did to the community. So I think we said we would be back to them in 2 weeks from the time we had the meeting, and it's over 2 weeks now. And so I want us tonight, I agreed, I had a meeting Friday night with just to go over what had been submitted to me and ask that Shatik, that all of you have it. And what our discussion tonight, I think, should be around other groups or other people that should be added as on the advisory group. Everything should not be all community board 10. Of course, there's the family there. I mean, you know that the family have to be a part. We know that the Deltas have been there providing recreational service to them. They've been on the premises there. But ours is just not providing service. It is to make sure that we are monitoring the service that they are providing and implementing. So we need to discuss this tonight, so when we go to the executive committee, we can get this passed and then get it on over to the center there. So the floor is open. I hope you all have read it. I asked Shatik to send everybody a copy of what Dr. Smith and Ms. Dixon had done, which is great. I think it's fantastic.
So maybe Karen could give a quick summary.
Good evening, everyone. So we were tasked with, Dr. Smith and I, with submitting a outline of areas that we would like to address with the various long-term care facilities in the CB10 community. And so initially, as Dr. Dukes alluded to, we were looking at the Harlem Nursing Home located on 138th Street. They attended last month's committee meeting. They weren't forthcoming with information related to allegations and concerns going about the care and the number of fatalities at the facility related to COVID. And so as a follow-up, the discussion was that we would create an outline for what a community advisory board would look like. And so in our conversations, Dr. Smith and I agreed that we wouldn't just look at Harlem, but we should also look at, I believe the other facility is Arch Care in the community. And we laid out a framework that said that we recommended the creation of a community advisory board with no more than 10 members. And then we provided specificity about what that membership would look like. We indicated that we would not have a CAB of all community board 10 members. There would be no more than 3 members on that CAB. We wanted family members of the facility, of the residents in the facility to be on that. We also wanted residents of CB10 to be a part of this community. And if the facility had its own CAB, we would definitely want one participant to participate in the CB10 CAB. Related to Dr. Duke's comments regarding Delta Sigma Theta, they have been in the facility for 40 years. And during that time, they worked closely with the different leadership in the facility. And so we recognize that each location may have a different constituents or community partners. And so we wanted to leave one of those memberships open to that entity in that facility. Cheryl, you want to jump in? Unmute yourself.
No, I think you've done a beautiful job summarizing that. I think the most important thing is we wanted to not just focus, the focus of attention right now may be specifically on the Harlem facility, but we don't know what's going on in Arch Care. So we wanted to make sure that this community advisory for long-term care was not just focused on one, but really protecting our community for any long-term care facilities that's in our neighborhood. So at least we'd have a framework for that. I think that was probably the main thing that we wanted to do. And one of the other thing that you'll find in the document is the fact that we came up with some focus questions that we wanted to, one, invite any of the long-term care facilities in our district to come to present to us again. But prior to their arrival, we would send them a survey, a quick digital survey that they would complete, and at least we'd have that information at the time that they presented. So we don't have a repeat of what happened last month where someone comes in and they're just coming in with no information. I think it's important for us to not waste their time or our time, and for us to have real data and be a little bit data driven in terms of questions that we're asking.
So for the committee and participants, just to give you an overview of the areas that would be contained in the survey would be patient capacity, the scope of services, whether nursing or rehab or both, staff capacity and the breakdown, nurses, nurses assistants, therapists, physicians, PAs, etc. Patients to staff ratio at each level of staffing, the process for reconciling family complaints, concerns, the number of complaints, the resolution, and then the overall cleanliness of the facility. The COVID-related specific questions included the number of patients that tested positive, the number of staff testing positive, the number of patient hospitalization, the number of patient fatalities, the number of staff fatalities, staff turnover, and the length of time before they actually returned to work if they were out due to COVID-related illness, the status of the staff testing protocol that's going to be implemented, as well as the cleaning protocol in the facility.
Now, you've heard from our two persons that did this great work for us. And as I said, I spoke to them on Friday evening and I approved what they had done, wanted to let you be a part of the process of seeing what you think about and recommending who you thought would be outside partners beside the community board 10, as you heard them say. So the floor is open for discussion on any of the proposal that we have before us. Is everybody on mute?
No.
Hello?
No, we're there. I think most people are not on mute, but if that literally, are there questions?
This is Michelle.
Right.
So I'm going to take a multi-layered approach. And
okay.
First, I read through the document and I thought the ideas are excellent. I do believe inviting the nursing homes on a constant basis to the community board with the survey moving forward, pre, post, and, COVID is really important for those who need treatment. And to remember that nursing homes have, rehabilitation. So they have their census is diversified, although most people who are there are those who, really need long-term help or who are elderly. My concern is that nursing homes are regulated by the state, and such that, we have cabs that are for our hospitals systems, but the hospital systems are under the umbrella of the city. And so therefore we have that, we have that tie vis-a-vis our, the New York City charter. My only concern is if we create this cap, are we within the scope of that regulation? Right, because they are run by the state, and state elected officials, as well as the governor's office, should be having a continuous, whether it's investigation, looking into how these facilities are being managed, right? So that's just my concern.
So, Michelle, I think there's a couple of things. One is they're actually privately operated, but they are regulated by the state. But they're privately operated, which is why they could come in and tell us, oh, we've sent everything to the state, but they can literally essentially blind you to the information that's going on in the facility. So they are privately operated, and they could provide you that information if they choose to. Unless you have a public nursing facility, and we don't actually have any public long-term care facilities specifically in our district. All of the long-term care facilities in our district that I can recall, that I saw that Dr. Samuels is on the call as well. So those are all the ones that I can recall in our district. So the public ones are a little bit different because that is literally operated by H&H or the state, but we don't have that. So it's not as big of an issue.
And additionally, when they were at the meeting last month, the newly hired director, who I think had been on the job since mid or late March, indicated that that was one of the goals that they wanted to work towards, was to reinstate their cab. And so that's how this conversation actually evolved out of the statements of the new director.
Absolutely. I'm glad that Dr. Smith made it very clear. These allure, when they came to us, I was telling Shatik there have to be Donna Gill. I think Donna, you was on the board when they came to us, right?
Yes.
Carl McCall at that time was lobbyist for them, was something. He was the one that we got a call from Lloyd Williams. And then Carl McCall called me, and they came with the owner of the Allure group. It's a group, and they have most of their homes in Brooklyn. And when we researched, we saw that they were not good. They wasn't in good standing at that time. So what this meeting really is to talk about what we see before us and how we think other groups should be a part, so we can get as much community involvement and the kind of things we would want. I'm not against them coming to our meetings, but I have to agree with Dr. Smith. You can see, I don't run meetings all night. Your meetings is to be focused. It's conversation, and then a vote is taken. So that's what I wanted from this meeting tonight. So when we go to the executive committee, we are sure what we're talking about. I don't like to have a meeting and then people come to the executive committee or come to the membership meeting and start asking questions. And so that's why I did it the way that it has been done. So all the questions tonight and recommendations, I would like for you to put on the floor now.
Dr. Dukes, this is
Yes.
Donna. I think Cheryl and Karen, you did a wonderful job, and I really, I commend you. I think we need to have a senior citizen, or we need to speak to someone from the senior task force, because the people from someone from DIFAS, from DIFTR, and someone from the Kennedy Center, because the reality of it is, though the people that are in the facility right now are incapacitated for one reason or another, at some point, their seniors may or may not end up in this facility. So we need to have them there to hear what, you know, how they feel about what's going on, or what would they like to see happen. But I see the other people that you appointed or suggested for community advisory board is quite, is very clear, and it makes a lot of sense. I just didn't see senior representation.
Good point. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, yeah, can I hi, Donna, thank you. This is Deborah Gilliard.
Oh, thank you, Deborah.
Hi, from the Senior Task Force. Yes, this is so necessary. So I just wanted to listen to see, because I know one of my seniors that visit the nursing home all the time, and I think you know her, Dr. Dukes, is Carolyn McBain.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
she's my soror.
Yeah. Right. She's at a meeting right now, so I'm trying to listen in so I could give her the information, because she is very much interested. She used to run.
I know, she called me, by the way.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
she called me, but her sister was at that facility.
Exactly.
Yes, she's one of the persons from the community through Mary Red that I received my first call from. So thank you very much, Donna. Let me hear from the other members. Deborah?
Excuse me?
Deborah Yates?
Oh.
Deborah Yates is still on. We heard from Donna. We heard from Michelle. Deborah, unmute yourself. Deborah didn't leave us, did she?
I still see her on here, but maybe
okay.
I know Mari had a question
Okay, but let me see. Yeah, but let me see from Deborah if we can get her unmuted. And then I'll go tomorrow.
Well, just one more thing. We're going to have our senior task force meeting on Thursday at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to bring the information to them, but definitely Ms. McBain and, you know, Ms.
Good.
Marcella
Yes.
Too. So I'll bring that information back to them.
Thank you so much.
Love the task force, the senior task force. And Deborah is unmuted. I think she might have stepped away.
Okay. Well, we can hear Mari's question.
Well, it was already answered by Dr. Smith, and I was basically saying, how could we give recommendations to the state on our findings when they have their meetings in regards to the nursing homes. But she said that they could choose not to take our recommendations. And then my question was, how do we hold them accountable? Because, you know, people haven't been able to reach out to, even during COVID-19, people have not been able to reach out to loved ones and relatives within the facilities. The gentleman that came on in the last meeting stated that they had iPads to communicate with. We know that many of our seniors, you know, may have difficulties in using iPads. They may need, I mean, the good old telephone still works best as a point of communication for family members to be able to communicate with loved ones, to know about their well-being. So somehow, as this task force is formulated, there has to be a way to hold accountability, and there has to be a way to incorporate the recommendations and findings of the task force into whatever entity the state has in oversight.
Hi, I did step away for a minute. This
Okay.
is Deborah. I just want to say you guys really did a good job on this. And I'm glad that you're bringing the senior citizens into this. But I think that, just piggybacking on what Mari said, I think that if the only way we really can hold them accountable is that these institutions report to the state. And so we have to pressure our elected officials to make sure that they hold these places accountable, that they get funding from the state, that
Right.
if they don't do what they're supposed to do, then their funding could be at risk. And so, when it comes to economics, that's what people listen to.
Good point. Okay.
Completely
Do we have
agree,
any other
Deborah.
member? We do. We've heard from Donna. We heard from Deborah. We heard any other member on the committee is on before I open it up to the public.
So, Dr. Dukes, the other thing I'd like to mention is that the Greater New York Hospital Association also has an arm that deals specifically with the nonprofit nursing homes in the area. And
Okay.
so we'd like to engage them. That's something that we can also do. Okay. Because the private facilities and the nonprofits, there's something really different. Also, the nonprofits tend to rely more on Medicaid and Medicare for their funding. Correct me if I misspoke, where, private entities, have other forms of funding for themselves. And so, the nonprofit model is whatever comes in, they take it and put it, their mission is to put it back into their patient.
Right.
Right? Where the private is more about their stakeholders and their investors.
Right.
And sometimes they're the ones who have been showing more of the problems when they are taking with their census and taking care of their patients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they're profit making.
Right.
But I wanted to say, Michelle, this is Donna. Most of the money that they get to run their facilities comes from Medicaid and Medicare.
Right.
Money. So that is federal funding, because basically, the accountability aspect of it is actually paramount, and we need to have them do that. And like Cheryl was saying, we need to hold our electeds responsible in the state so that they do this. I know the governor has said that he's looking into nursing homes right now. I know there's a task force that he probably created as a result of what has happened with COVID and the nursing homes, and the way that they reported or did not report or whatever. And Greater Harlem is one of them. But I also think that the community advisory board that we are suggesting is not so much as a regulatory board for the state, but more so as a regulatory board for the institution, so that someone is there doing what the state is not doing.
But we don't have the power to do that.
Well, okay.
Well,
that's ethics, right? That's not our power. Right?
Well,
advocacy.
It's not our, I think what Donna is saying, the advocacy is with our elected officials, and they have the power
right
to do certain things that we don't. But the advocacy role from us would be that our next step would be with our elected officials and hold them accountable too for what monies, how they work with budgets. We can get complaints and write up our finding, then our elected officials, we would hold responsible, because it is Medicaid and Medicare money that they get. So I would like the other people who are on the call, if they have something that they have heard or they want to bring to our attention or on this matter, if you would introduce yourself when you speak so we can have minutes of the meeting, please. Is anyone from that is not a member
Hello?
of the? Yes.
Hi, this is Josh. I was just gonna say that I think it's a great idea. When I was in college, I actually worked at a CCRC that included a hospice and a nursing home. So I kind of experienced firsthand how some of these facilities often put profit over the well-being of senior citizens. I think this is very much needed, and we also need, stricter regulations at the state and local level. So I'm all in support of it.
Okay, thank you, Board Member Clemens. Who else? Any member from the community that's on would like to speak? Good afternoon. We have any members who are on the call who are not members of the committee, but member of the community? Would you like input or suggestions? Well, I don't hear anyone.
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, Dr. Dukes.
Yes.
This is Terry Wisdom, and how are you? I'm really just kind of listening and getting up to speed and pretty much in agreement, with everything that everyone has said in terms of moving forward and addressing this. But I am here and taking it all in. So
wonderful. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's open for anyone else to let us know that you're here. So our minutes will reflect your concerns or your attending our meeting this evening. This is very important because these are our neighbors, some relatives, friends of ours, and so we're taking this very serious.
Dr. Dukes, this is Sheba Simpson.
Yes.
I was knocked off the call and I'm just getting back up. I don't want to take too much time, but I just wanted to know if I could be brought up to speed on what the gentleman was just speaking about.
Was that Josh? Josh?
Yes?
Yeah.
That wasn't me talking just now.
Who brought up that they did intern worked after?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
That was
me,
you,
yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. She want to hear what you had to say again.
Yeah, so I would just say, I guess more you want to hear like a direct of my experiences exactly, or what do you want me to talk about?
To talk about the, I believe it's the, well, I don't want to use the word greed, the profit making over the quality of care.
Okay, so I worked at a CCRC that was, it was assisted living for seniors, in addition to a nursing home, and there was also a hospice. So basically, I would say not this facility I worked at, but I also went to like neighboring facilities and conferences and stuff, and I saw a lot of different things, especially like in hospice and nursing home. because basically when you're in hospice, especially, you get paid, like $600 a day for every person that you have in hospice. So what they do is they basically pack these facilities with basically bodies. It doesn't matter if they have enough nurses or people on staff to care for all these people. Their thing is to just pack them with as many people as possible, so that they can get bodies in there, so they can get that income coming in. Because it's like, $600 a day. That's just it, without treatment, without all the treatments and services they charge. I can tell you, in addition, I had a personal experience with Isabella, which is in Inwood, where I had a relative who was placed there in Isabella, but Isabella had lied to us about the services that they had. So my relative had a specific type of wound that needed a certain thing to be basically replaced and maintained every day, pretty much. They had a fistula wound, so they basically had an open wound in their stomach where their bowels, like feces, was coming out of. So that had to be replaced and maintained every day. Isabella lied to us. They didn't have that equipment at all in stock to be able to care for that type of wound. They totally lied to us. So after coming there and finding out that, they weren't replacing it on a daily basis, we had to basically relocate my relative and ASAP to another facility. Had to take them back to the hospital that had charged them, and then move them into a whole nother facility, which was an incredible ordeal, in the span of 24 hours. So, but that just goes to show another example. Isabella was more concerned about getting an individual in a bed so that they can start collecting, money from the state each month, rather than actually facilitating the care for that person and the special treatment that they needed.
Is that an answer?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Joshua.
Yeah, no
Hello,
problem.
this is Dr. Samuels. This is Dr. Samuels. Hello?
Good evening, Dr. Samuels.
The main problem is this. The government does not want to pay properly for nursing home care. They don't have the proper number of RNs or associated staff that should really take care of patients. They're not getting the patients up the way that they should. So therefore, the patients become demented. If you had to lay in bed 24 hours a day for weeks at a time, you would also become demented. So the main problem is that government, because most of these patients don't have the wherewithal, they clean out their accounts essentially once they go into the nursing home. And they don't have the financial ability to pay for expensive care or proper care. Let's put it that way. So it's not just an issue with the nursing home, which in this case was lying. The issue also is government funding for elders when they go into the nursing home. And that is probably part of the issue. But the other part of the issue is a lot of the times the people who run the nursing home, as I said, do not want to pay the staff. So the staff isn't paid properly. You don't have the proper number of RNs in there, percentage-wise, to monitor the care of the patients. Meanwhile, a lot of these people are living in multi-million-dollar homes. So this is really a horrid situation all over the country. And what happened in Harlem is just a piece of it. Not that it shouldn't be addressed, but it's a piece of an overall problem.
Thank you.
Hi, I just like to make a brief point. I visited a member from my church, a woman who's living in Amsterdam House some months ago, And I know Amsterdam House is not part of the Manhattan Community Board 10 district, so I'm not bringing it up for that purpose, but more so just as an example of something that might be happening at other nursing homes that are within the district. Is during our visit, the care aide woman came into her room with the do not resuscitate paperwork and was quite coercive in the way that she was asking her to sign it. And I had to speak on behalf of the woman to make it, she was saying, no, I don't want to sign. And the woman was explaining it to her. And it ended up being a simple conversation with the woman, just saying she doesn't want it. And then we kind of shifted the conversation to something else. But I think that this is happening in other nursing homes where someone who is older and in a weaker standpoint, laying on a bed versus someone who's standing up over them saying, hi, we're coming around with this paperwork, is almost like a wolf in sheep's clothing. So I just want to bring that up, that's something that's happening.
I don't know who brought that up, but I appreciate you bringing that up because it's very true. And a lot of times patients are browbeaten into making that choice, particularly if they don't have any associated family to assist them in that decision. It can get pretty scary.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Dukes? Michelle, Dr. Dukes?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I would like for the members of the committee, I would like to take a vote that we can always amend what we're doing, but I don't want them to think that we were blowing smoke at them. We said we would get this in 2 weeks. It's longer than 2 weeks now, but they do have to go before the executive committee in next week or week after next, whatever the date is. So I would like to have a vote tonight of us approving our proposal that we have before us. Can I get?
Oh, so moved.
Who is it? Who
Karen made the motion.
Second by Michelle.
Okay, second by Michelle. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposers? Abstentions? Thank you so much for this. And this is not the be all or be all. This is the beginning. This is the beginning for us. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot of questions at the executive committee, but I think we are well prepared to answer this decision we have. And we only, from meeting on Friday night, we only have 2 in our area that we cover. I know that I think Isabella is in 11 or 9.
Isabella's in 12. It's in
12.
To Washington Heights.
Washington Heights.
Yeah, they already working on that. Even the congressman has been involved in that with the group over there. So let's take care of what we can take care of, and we can share this information with other community boards if that become necessary. But let's get ours approved and get moving on it. Any other business? We have any old business? Any new business? If not, we still have before us how we would do the education on the smoking. I think once we get out of this, we could work with the education committee and our committee. It could be a joint forum or education series. I like what Dr. Smith put before us, but that's going to take some planning and some work.
Dr. Dukes, Dr. Dukes, this is Deborah. I've already sent Michelle and Cheryl Smith a text message, and we're going to begin working on that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you and I have some other education matters to continue working on. Okay, thank you guys very much. If there's none other.
Good evening, everybody.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good evening.
We need to make a motion to close out the meeting.
I so move, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening. Great meeting.
You too.
Well run.
Yes.
Take care, Dr. Dukes. Thank you. Terry Wisdom. Thank you.